At Isandlwana, the earth remembered who it belonged to. On that day, the 22nd of January 1879, the Zulu nation did not merely resist an empire, it defeated one. Under the authority of King Cetshwayo Kampande, an army of men who fought on their own land for their own sovereignty, rose with disciplined patience and courage that no rifle could erase. They were led by commanders who understood both war and restraint. Chingwayo Kamahole-Khoza, steady and deliberate, and Mkhosana Kamvundlana of the Biela clan, whose resolve helped hold the army together until the moment was right. This was not chaos, this was not planning, this was not control, this was command. Zulu regiments advance as one body, chest and horns and lions, moving with precision of men who trusted each other completely, men who knew that the survival of the nation depended on their unity. From far away, on top of a conical hill, about 16 kilometers away from Isandlwana, Buckley Mill raised a telescope and watched the plain darken. What he saw was not a skirmish. It was not a retreat. It was the ground itself moving, a vast tide rolling over the camp, swallowing tents, lines, and certainty. The sound did not reach him, but the meaning did. This was not a great British defeat. This was a great Zulu victory. Victory born of courage without illusion, of bravery without apology, of warriors who stood against empire and proved, if only for once, if only for one day, that their land, their king, and their way of life were not for the taking. At Isandlwana, the Zulus did not ask to be remembered. They ensured it.